Hi, I'm Papa D, and welcome to another magical moment with Papa D. Question for you. Is it possible for the continent of Africa to unite all 54 countries of that continent into one country similar to the United States? Just like how the United States have 50 states, the continent of Africa has 54 countries. But my thoughts are, is it possible for the continent of Africa with those 54 countries to unite as one nation similar to the United States? And I believe it's possible. I truly believe it's possible. And I've got 5 steps that I think, if it's implemented, if the top nations like Nigeria and Ethiopia and South Africa and all the nations in Africa sit down at a table and have a serious dialogue, a serious discussion and serious planning, I believe they can do it. So here are 5 key steps I believe that they should bring to the table, and I believe if they do bring these 5 steps to the table, they can achieve that mission, they can achieve that goal. All my life growing up, I've heard people talking about the unification of Africa, how it's needed, how it's necessary. I've heard Marcus Garvey talk about it in his teachings. I've heard it in music growing up, Bob Marley singing about it, unification of Africa, Africa Unite. I've heard Peter Tosh singing about it. I've heard Dennis Brown, a lot of Jamaican artists as sing about uniting Africa. And Africa truly is the cradle of civilization, and that's where it all started. And the people of Africa, especially the young people of Africa, has got to put a stop to colonial ruling, dividing the country, conquering, raping, pillaging the country of all its natural resources, and turn around and painting a picture of Africa as a poor continent, when really and truly Africa is the richest continent on the planet with its natural resources. So why is it that it's so difficult for African nations to unite and become one nation? Because the colonial powers planned it that way, to segregate them as individual country, give them different languages, split them up in partitions, English speaking over here, French over there, Portuguese over there, and just segregate them on the continent of Africa. You can't even travel freely from one nation to another nation. That's ridiculous. How is it that in North America, everyone that lives in the United States can travel from one state to another state without using a passport? So why isn't it possible for African nations to travel from one country to another country freely and have free trade between each other, and one government, and just control all of their natural resources and build and grow like they're supposed to, like every other top nations? It's possible. But here are 5 key steps that I believe, if implemented, it can change the landscape and change the whole history of Africa in moving forward into the new millennium. These are the 5 key steps that I've created, and I believe it could work if the government and all the countries of Africa was to implement it and sit down at the table and bring all these elements together. So the first step is establish a strong continental governance structure. Strengthen the African Union, AU, as a central authority. Develop effective decision-making process and dispute resolution mechanism. Enhance representation and participation of member states. Number 2, foster economic integration. Implement the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, to boost trade. Develop joint infrastructure project, transportation, energy, ICT. Promote economic cooperation, investment, and resource sharing. Number 3, promote cultural exchange and understanding. Encourage people-to-people exchanges, education, arts, culture. Develop African-centered educational criteria. Celebrate African diversity and shared heritage. Number 4, address historical and ongoing conflicts. Establish Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Address border dispute and territorial issues. Foster dialogue and cooperation on security and conflict resolution. Number 5, develop regional and continental infrastructure. Improve transportation, networks, railroads, and air. Enhance digital connectivity and ICT infrastructure. Develop joint energy projects, renewable energies, and fossil fuels. Additional essentials steps. Develop a unified African passport. Establish a single African currency, very important. Enhance cooperation on health, education, environmental issues. Foster a sense of Pan-African identity. Encourage citizens' participation and grassroots engagement. Inspiration can be drawn from the European Union integration model, the African Union Agenda 2063, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Unity requires patience, dialogue, and collective commitment. Africa, diversity is a strength, and cooperation can drive prosperity. And I'm emphasizing prosperity. Cooperation can drive prosperity. And that's all the African nations have to do. All they have to do is cooperate with each other, and that will drive for them to be prosperous. It seems so simple. Those 5 steps that I've just mentioned, it seems so simple, and it looks good on paper. But why is it so difficult for these African nations to see that and to be able to come to the table, because all of these nations around the world are trying to stop all of this from taking place, and they don't have any interests. Europe, all the countries that colonize Africa, they don't have any interests. It doesn't interest them for all the nations, all the 54 nations of Africa to unite and come together as one. Because once they do that, all the gold and the diamond, all the natural resource that they've been stealing and building their country and painting a picture of Africa as being poor and like a piece of shit, like a garbage nation. You know, it's time for all of this shit to stop. And all the young people of Africa, they need to wake up and smell the coffee. Okay? They need to wake up, take a look at what's going on in their country. Like, I mean, look at all the young people that's running away from Africa and dying crossing the sea, dying going through the desert, dying because they have to leave their nation, because the leaders of these nations are corrupt. The leaders of these nations, all they care is about their own pocket. They don't give a shit about the people. The young generation, the young people have got to see this. They got to wake up and see this and put a stop to it. I think they're seeing it. They're starting to see it right now. But all the nations of Africa, all 54 nations in Africa, all of them got to wake up. Okay? Not just one or two, because one or two can't do it. It's got to be a collective. All 54 nations in Africa have got to come to the table and have a dialogue and implement these 5 key steps. If they're able to implement these 5 key steps, only success is going to come from that. Only success and only prosperity is going to come from that. And then all the people of Africa, the young people, they do not have to kill themselves to come to Canada, to come to America, to go to Europe and let people belittle them and treat them like shit when they're coming from nations that is so abundant in gold and rich in diamonds and rich in natural resources. Shame. It's a terrible shame. Shame on all these government, all these heads of states in Africa. Shame on you. All of you are a disappointment. You're a huge disappointment to your nation. You're a huge disappointment to all the black people around this world. Because you've sold out your nation just to line your own pocket, instead of helping the people to build their nation and stop them from coming to Canada, United States and all of these countries to do shit job and having people belittle them and being mistreated and taken advantage of. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing that. You leaders of Africa, you got to get your shit together and do something about it, because it's not nice lining your pocket and having offshore accounts and having millions and billions of dollars in the bank while your citizens are starving. Shame on you. The young generation should kick you all out and start from scratch and use this model that I'm talking about. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. They just have to take the model. If they want good healthcare system, use the healthcare system. Use the model that Canada has got, because Canada has a very good healthcare system. If you want to learn, if you want a model to start, to build, don't reinvent the wheel. Just use the model. Look at all these countries that are successful and use their model to create whatever, model you need to create. Just modify it. Just utilize their model and modify it to suit your own. and implement these 5 key steps. And it's just that simple. I don't know, it's not rocket science to come together and sit down together and have a dialogue and a discussion to make things work for your country and making the continent of Africa be the top. Africa is able to have the ability to be the global leader in everything. It's just that the people got to come together and do it. All the nations of Africa, all 54 nations of Africa has got to sit down at the table and do it. And all you young people, don't stop trying until you're able to do that. Because the future is yours. The future is yours to take. So take it right now. Just do it. Don't talk about it. Just do it. God bless you. And I love you all. I love you, Africa. Don't forget to share this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video. Okay? Because I love Africa. And I love the people of Africa. And I only want the very best for the people of Africa. God bless you all. God bless every nation in Africa. I love you.